Hi, I wanted to share something with you that I've shared many times. I probably say it in everything that I've ever written. If you've ever coached with me or spoken with me or taken a class, you've heard it 1,000 times. But I'm seeing it at a new level, kind of with a little more clarity, in an even more simple way than I had seen it before. And I really want you to hear this. Now, I know you hear me, we hear all kinds of things, but I want you to hear it really for a minute. Just set any doubt aside, set any questions aside, and assume that this is the truth. And you can go back to your old way of thinking or believing whenever you want. But just try this out. So, I recently read a book, and there was a line in that book, and it was, I don't know exactly, but what I heard from the line in that book was, what if nothing that you've ever thought is true? And that's actually the case. Now, and again, I know we talk about this all the time, I write about it constantly. It is actually true that all of the thinking, and I don't just mean the sentences, I mean our conclusions about life, our reactions toward people, our thoughts about ourselves, our judgments, like our entire experience, which I call thinking sometimes, it's the same thing. Our entire experience of life is essentially just our opinion in the moment. It's how things are looking to us in that very moment. It's not objective truth. Never. It can't be. We have 7.5 billion people on Earth, and there are 7.5 billion truths because we're seeing things the way that they occur to us in the moment. And because we're not told this from the time we're little kids, we grow up our entire lives just kind of assuming that we're seeing this sort of snapshot of life around us. And that our conclusions, especially the really emotional ones that we know we're right about, those have to be right. They have to be true. And we go through life gathering evidence because anything that we believe, if you believe something, the evidence is just going to pop out of the woodwork. So when my husband does something that I want to say is wrong, he shouldn't have done that, I can find tons of evidence for that. I can talk to all my friends and they would agree that that's wrong. I can look at how I feel. There's so many things. And when we do that in an instant. So no one ever told us that everything we think is basically just made up. It's our opinion in the moment. And I want you to kind of hear that at a new level. What if nothing that you've ever thought is the truth? Is the way it is. It's all filtered. It's all us seeing things as they occur to us in the moment. This metaphor came up when I was, I don't know where this came from, but I was talking with a client yesterday and I just started talking about her kitchen for some reason. I think she was talking about cooking. We were talking about this, and I said it's kind of like if everyone on earth went to their kitchen right now and just got all their ingredients, got whatever leftovers you have, whatever spices you happen to have, just kind of threw it all together and made a stew. You'd have 7.5 billion different stews. There's pretty much no way you're going to have exactly the same stew, even if it's the same ingredients. It's going to come out, different portions and all of it. It's going to come out different. That's kind of how all of our thinking is. Now, it's all still stew, so we can look at it, and some of them will be close enough that we can look and say, yep, this is my friend, this is my partner over here. We have the same kind of stew. We're the same. We see things the same way, and in some ways you do. But just like with the stew, our thinking, it's every single moment our experience is colored by a gazillion factors. Our mood, how tired you are, how hungry you are. Those are the kind of really superficial ones. Whatever other thinking happens to be there, what you just saw, the memories that are active, what happened to you when you were a kid, the stories that you walk around telling that you don't recognize are stories. So many things come together in each and every moment that kind of filter and bias all of our thinking. And this is important to know because when we see this, it just helps you to have a grasp on what's going on in life. Then you don't take it so seriously. Now, there's nothing you have to do, so don't hear this as okay, so everything I'm thinking is kind of made up by me. So how do I let that, like, how does that help me? Like, what do I do? What am I supposed to, how do I think differently? Or what do I believe? You know, if your mind's going there, and minds do, just set all that aside. Again, this is just a quiet time to kind of let this sink in and see if the truth of it hits you, because it is true, and truth resonates with people. When we know that what we're seeing is coming from within us, not from outside, in every single moment, it can only work that way. It's our own internal story and projection coming up. So it's basically our opinion all the time, that just revolving opinion constantly. That of course we can find evidence for, and of course we can prove true if we want to, but that doesn't mean it is. There's a lightness that comes around it. You know, there's a, okay, I see, like, this is just my mind making this up, especially when it's stuff that doesn't feel good, that doesn't serve you. That's when it's the most biased. And we know that because there are moments, we've all experienced them, when your mind just gets kind of quiet and suddenly everything around you looks different. That's kind of our nature. You know, I recently had an experience where I just felt really good. My mind felt really quiet. And this is the dumbest thing to talk about, but I was at my son's soccer game and I saw this woman sitting in the grass, and I just wanted to like go roll around in the grass. Like, the grass was just beautiful. I'm like, oh, I love grass. I remember being a kid and just playing outside. And now that grass, I've walked over that patch of grass for the last 5 weeks of the soccer games, and I can tell you, like, I was in my head about something else or looking here or what's going on, and completely missed it. So life doesn't change. I mean, life is life, and it's amazing, and it's very simple, and there's a lot to be seen there. And we're just in varying degrees of listening to what's going on in our minds, and that's fine. That's human. That's how it's going to be. But the more we can kind of know, okay, all this stuff I'm listening to in my head, this is just kind of a narration, my own personal, very subjective and biased narration of what's happening in life. It's not the truth. And when we see that, and we don't take it so seriously, especially the painful stuff that keeps us stuck, we just naturally, again, you don't have to do anything, we naturally pay less attention to it. We naturally just kind of let it talk, and it sort of floats over here instead of being right front and center. And there's a space there, and we see things differently. And new ideas show up, and you have thoughts that you hadn't had in a long time. You have insights. You see things about life that you didn't see. You enjoy the people that are constantly around you that maybe you don't enjoy that much regularly. You see the beauty in things. You kind of see life like a little kid sees life a little bit more. So sit with this thought that really hit me. What if nothing that you think is the truth? It's just our own stew. It's just using the ingredients in your kitchen. And just kind of try that on. There's something else you have to do with it. Just try that on and see if you can know that that's the case, because it is. And it'll continue to unfold and help you in a lot of ways just by seeing that.